Right, I give him that. Four? I'm not even sure. So. Did you have one for
Emergency,
living?
I will take. Regular, I will not take.
Then 49 Cricket. Do we have one for Cricket? Public hearing?
Yeah, I have that.
Okay.
The meeting is ready if you guys are.
Yeah. I don't like Zoom meetings. I do that. I try to be subtle, but it just doesn't work.
I do a lot of training.
Okay.
Or Steve.
Yeah, he doesn't sound too.
There's a great picture.
By the way, engineer and landscape architect.
Hey, guys, by the way, there's an incredible amount of static.
Static,
Coming through.
that's because we were talking.
No, I think there's something wrong with one of the mics. It's very staticky. I'm having trouble understanding what anybody's saying.
Right.
Anyway, proceed.
I don't think he wants to talk about it.
He's looking good.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Never mind.
Here we go.
The project is terribly controversial.
No, it's like a big nothing.
Well, not to them. They wouldn't be here otherwise.
No.
Yeah.
But
It's,
Actually seems kind of nice.
Thank you. We have a couple of folks doing for us as well.
Sherry.
45 Northfield. Yeah, I took a look at it.
Sherry, I'm trying to log in. You just promoted.
Lane wasn't coming. I've been away.
I didn't.
He said he wasn't.
Oh,
He said he wasn't.
Yeah.
Then he would tell us, when he sees us, why he has, why he should be here tonight.
Okay, I missed that or forgot it.
He didn't forget it.
I wasn't told.
The static is horrible. Yeah, it's horrible.
There's a lot of static on our end.
Christina.
I'm not so high tech that I keep. The planning board has a quorum. Okay, oh, sorry, okay. Good evening to all and welcome to the regular meeting of the Planning Board of the Village of South Sherry on Thursday evening, July 7, 2022. We are delighted and honored this evening to have the Board of Trustees having a joint meeting with us for the first item on our agenda. And I'd like to go forward from there. First item on our agenda is 555 Broadway, Mercy College. Public hearing for proposed construction of a pavilion in the Grove area and upgrades to R lot. Initial R lot.
Good evening. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, let's, hang on, let's, a motion and second to open the public hearing, and then the board of trustees would follow.
All right, motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Motion from the Board of Trustees, to open the public hearing. Sullivan, second. Rosenberg.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Seth Mandelbaum. I'm with the law firm of McCullough, Goldberger and Stout. Pleased to be here on behalf of Mercy College with Tom Simmons, who I think you probably all know, the Vice President of Facilities for the college. Also in Zoom land, we have Deanne Perikak, who's our civil engineer on the project, as well as Chris Tramotola. I don't see up there yet, but he's zooming in from somewhere, an undisclosed location in the Midwest. So first of all, I want to very much thank on behalf of the college, the Board of Trustees for coming to this meeting tonight to make this process a little more efficient. I know Tom and the college very much appreciate it. You know, summer is the time when Tom can get a little more done, when the weather's good and there's not as many kids on the campus. So it is very much appreciated for you to be here tonight. We're at the point where we're asking the Board of Trustees for amended site plan approval on a couple of projects that Tom will take you through in a minute. Tom is also going to give the public and the boards a little update on the work out in front on the Route 9 right-of-way, which has been an ongoing saga. And Tom and I both had full heads of hair when we started working on that. Not really, but almost. And we also did receive approval last night from the Irvington Planning Board for a companion project that really is going to greatly improve the entrance to the college, and we'll show you an image of that in a moment. And they were very interested in the parking lot portion of the Dobbs Ferry project, and we assured them we're not adding any cars, we're not adding any parking spaces, but they actually were very interested in what was going on across the border here in Dobbs Ferry. So with that, I'll bring up Tom. We have a brief presentation, which we'll go through pretty quickly because I think both boards have seen a preliminary version of it, and then we're happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Right with you.
The share button.
Is it minimized or something? Trying to maximize.
Oh. Yeah.
The old days, we were very presentation board.
We've been having some trouble with our laptop. Would one of them be able to share their screen?
She's got it.
Oh, there we go.
Tom? Oh, there it is. There it is.
Okay.
That was good. That was plan B.
There you go. Okay, we have that ready. Thank you for letting us update you on this project this evening. As Seth alluded to, we have a couple components to this project, which are a new pavilion in our Grove part of the campus, as well as some upgrades to our R parking lot, which is the one on the lower part of campus. I also going to spend briefly, I'll just do a brief update again on what we talked about, the Route 9 project with the DOT and some of the supporting things that your board had asked for that we were able to put into that project, even though it's mostly occurring in the Irvington side of the campus. And with the pavilion, I'll walk through some details with that, but I had mentioned last time that over the COVID period, we've had a lot of tents we've put up and down there, large 40, 60 foot by 100-foot tents that Dan knows that we will put up and down. And we think after the activities and how they were used, an open air pavilion is a great addition to the park field there. And then I'll explain a couple other things with the R lot. So the two areas we're talking about for these projects are outlined in red. The pavilion is the area, it has a lot of older growth trees in front of the new residence hall and kind of the park area and the Dobbs Ferry side of the campus. And then the R lot is down below the athletic field. It's a lot we call the R lot because our resident students park in there. We have 150 resident student parking spots. And there's just needed some upgrades and lighting and things like that that need to be done. So as you're aware, as part of the building, the new residence hall, Hudson Hall, that was approved in 2016, part of that requirement was for us to add the turn lane and change the radiuses and all the pieces we had to do at the front entrance of the college. I updated you last time that we had quite the journey with the DOT to get all those things, approvals in place to be able to do that. We had some delays with land transfers and all sorts of things we had to do with Attorney General's office. We're finally there and we're able to do that. We also took that opportunity when we were doing that work to do a companion project with a lot of landscape improvements. So as the old signs, as the radius has changed on that at that entrance, to 50 foot. The old signs were almost in the middle of the sidewalk and the scale didn't work. The DOT project was more focused on infrastructure stuff. So we've got about another $1.5 million project that really is going to do a lot of landscape improvements and things that are going to make the house feel like a home and will feel like a good part of the community out in the front. So we're excited to do that. Also in that project, a couple things. The one that Donna had asked me about earlier, we'll be able to address the bus stops that you had asked us if we could upgrade those and be a little more sustainable with some of the features on them, especially the one that's at the college side that's towards Landing Drive on the end there. So there's a setback that takes care of that. Another one was a suggestion to have a raised pedestrian table across our main entrance as it comes in along the old Croton Aqueduct Trail. That's in there and that's been blessed, as well as doing the balance of the Old Croton Aqueduct on the Irvington side of the campus. So we're excited about that. I just thought I'd let you know about that. It's not what we're here for this morning. Anthony asks us for updates, and as Dan does on that all the time. But I thank you for some of your comments that are making Mercy a better place for the community because they were well received. So the R lot on the lower area, as I mentioned, there's 150 spots on this lower section. And then there's a little piece that wraps around on the top that's on the upper grade. So altogether is about 182 spots. We're not adding any parking. This is really something where the infrastructure, as far as drainage, it's a mill and topping and some of the lighting we needed to do there. It's the same lighting that was part of what you worked with us on for the new residence hall and the loop road we put in. It's dark sky. It's a certain feature that we work with that. It's just a continuation of that. And it's just really some needed upgrades from an infrastructure standpoint that we thought would be a good thing to bring here also. So with that, on top of that, here's a picture of the Grove. You can see that area, and here's those two large tents we've had there for probably the last 3 years. And another thing we learned when you put tents up this and you have smaller events and people out there, if you don't have floors in them, you start to get mud. When people come with heels and all that sort of stuff, it's tough to kind of navigate that, and it's pretty expensive to put them up and down. So with that, we came up with the idea of putting a open air pavilion in the area. We worked with Chris Tomatolato for some design concepts of where we could put this in. And we're excited about it. It has the stone dust paths, some bluestone, natural timbers, and all sorts of things where we really feel it's going to fit in a good manner. One of the things that we looked at as we've already worked with your team on it complying with the site and zoning needs that we have gone through. There was a suggestion last time about a large 23-inch linden tree that we were going to move to put in, or we were going to take down to put in the best spot for the pavilion to be at from an accessible grade and the grading in the area. There was a suggestion to move that. So now in the plans, we have that as being relocated. And so we work with your planners to make sure that can happen. We're excited about that. And then, you know, the general architecture of it works well with what, you know, is traditional with a park infrastructure with an open air with the timbers. We're going to do a metal, probably copper roof, something that will age and will fit in well with that. We'll work with the architectural board on the details with that. Some of the cross section, because some of you had asked about lighting within. So just like the Aqueduct Trail, we don't plan on using this at night and lighting the outside of it. But when you think it makes sense to have some lights within the structure for gloomy days or things like that when you're using it. So I think it will fit in well with that. And then last time we showed you, we had 2 views, and then you asked us for one other one for us to consider. This is the view from the Mercy, what I would call the pedestrian spine that walks up through the middle of the campus, gives you an idea of scale of how that would work. This is the view from the Loop Road you had us put in when we built the new residence hall that's more over on Landing Drive side, where we really feel will have a minimal impact. And some of the stormwater features and everything we've had on this side over here from the Loop Road when we put it in. And then Chris had done these 2 other images or renderings from the Croton Aqueduct Trail that you had asked last time if we could do to show you the impact of it. And you can see how the trail and the grading that the pavilion is set down in the park a little bit, where it's not really going to, we don't believe, have a negative impact for people walking along the trail. That's what we have for you tonight, is a brief update. We're glad to answer any questions relative to the project. And we have our engineers and landscape architect available to get into any details should you need some.
Thank you.
Anthony, your memo of July 5th has some open items on it. Are they still open?
They are still open, but we did have a conference call yesterday. I spoke with their engineer and landscape architect, and we're all on the same page, I think, in terms of what needs to be some further details on the stormwater and some editing to the SWIP report. There were a couple of things that should be conditional in terms of maintenance agreements to be updated for the stormwater infrastructure. I was okay also with the, they assured me that the Route 9 work had a separate coverage under the DEC stormwater permit. So I think we're good there. We'll have a second look at that again when permits are issued and prior to construction. So I think the items technically are still open, but they'll need to just update those. It could be conditional in my view.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other comments from board members? Mr. Brosnahan?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Mercy for those illustrations of the views from the aqueduct. It really, that was important to me because there's a lot of traffic on the aqueduct. It's the biggest pedestrian thoroughfare, and to me it looks good. And also I want to thank them for maintaining the aqueduct with stone dust in there. That's made a big difference. That's all I have.
Thank you. The public hearing, is there anyone here from the public? We'll start from there.
No.
Anybody online from the public that wishes to speak?
See anybody raising their hand?
Anybody seeing anybody? Do any members of the Board of Trustees have questions for the applicant?
No, I just wanted to say it's a very elegant solution. The site section is nicely tucked into the hill. It's a nice looking building, and we look forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to thank you guys for considering the bus shelters.
Good.
It's very popular.
Quite a distance, you know, that through all the.
Yeah.
More closer to there.
Okay.
On the other side.
Which shows that this is online packages. You had the tents in that same spot.
Yeah.
without doing any issue. You also discussed that you were spoken directly to the landing, so if you could provide you the boards with an update of that, how that process.
Yeah, I spoke to the president of their homeowners group and actually went to lunch with two of them and put the plans on the table and let them take a peek at them to see what they had thought with that. As you recall, when we built the res hall, we had put that buffer between there and we had done some plannings. What they had asked me about was, would they mind if we put some irrigation in for some of that plantings that were in. So I said that was fine. We'd be glad to do that.
Okay, good. Well, that's good to hear. That's
okay.
There was some stuff that Valerie put in about the trees, is that taken care of?
That's actually a condition,
Oh,
one of,
sorry.
yes, hi. It's one of the conditions of approval I'm recommending for tonight. I believe the applicant will meet the new tree regulations, but they're going to provide us some additional information to verify that. And then also, one of the recommendations was that if the 24-inch diameter little leaf linden tree that is supposed to be replanted does not survive within a 2-year period, the applicant will submit an updated plan to the plan that will meet the requirements of the tree regulations.
If there's no other comments from the board or the public, I would like to move that we close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
What if the have to close it up? Yes, okay, so we have a motion to close the public hearing. Second by trustee Sullivan, all in favor? All in favor? Okay, that's it.
Well, on behalf of the planning board, I have, wait a minute. This resolution that I had been given, it says Village Board.
Yes, so just, Mr. Chairman, the planning board will have to do a recommendation to the village board. And the village board
Okay,
actually-
because this is a trustees
Yeah,
resolution.
but the board can vote, the planning board can vote tonight if you'd like to recommend the project for site plan approval to the
Yeah,
village.
so move. All in favor?
Who seconded that?
I'll second it.
All in favor, aye.
All in favor.
So we do have a site plan approval. Yeah, the mayor, yes, they have it. I just wondered if you open your.
Yes.
So why don't you open the meeting? You're gonna.
Can I just say that if you're not at a mic, we can't hear you on Zoom.
Special session so that we can vote on this. We merely opened and closed the public hearing before. I don't know if I'm speaking.
There's so much static, it's almost impossible to hear anyway, so I wish it was closed captioned.
Okay, so. Sullivan or favor. Okay, so special meeting is open. We do have a recommended site plan approval and the trustee Sullivan. I think. I don't know how to go first. I thought we did Anything you're done.
Yeah, we-
I'm gonna go to my.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I was about to move that over.
It's not that tall. Okay. So the Board of Trustees, whereas Ashford Dobbs LLC applicant is seeking site plan approval for the construction of an approximately 3,960 square foot open air pavilion and upgrades to the existing R lot parking lot, not involving an increase in capacity project. The subject property is the site of the Mercy College campus located at 555 Broadway, section, block, and lot. The numbers are in the resolution. The project site is located in the Educational Institutional Zoning District, and whereas the application received a recommendation of approval from the planning board during a joint public meeting of the boards on July 7, 2022. And whereas in addition to accommodating receipt of written comments, the village board conducted a duly noticed public hearing on July 7th, 2022, jointly with the planning board, during which all those wishing to be heard were given the opportunity to be heard. Now therefore be it resolved that the village board of trustees has now concluded its review of the project and finds that the applicant has satisfactorily addressed the criteria for granting approval in accordance with section 300-52D of the village code, including consistency with the village's local waterfront revitalization plan. And be it further resolved that the village board of the village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings and reasoning set forth below, the application for site plan approval is hereby granted, subject to the conditions set forth in the resolution, including all work shall be performed in strict compliance with the plans submitted to the village board and approved by the village board, and no certificate of occupancy shall be issued until all improvements shown on the site plan are installed or sufficient performance guarantee has been posted for improvements not yet completed. The performance guarantee shall be posted in accordance with the procedures specified in village law, section 7-725-A or 7-730 as applicable.
Second. Yeah, I should go to hang up or. Thank you.
No, she's taking a motion to approve the site plan approval. Okay, so
Thank you, Nicole.
Trustee Patino? All in
all in
favor?
favor?
Okay, and that's passed unanimously.
If not altogether, not.
Yeah. And do you want to close the special meeting? Yes. Okay. To close the special meeting of the Board of Trustees. Trustee Wilkenberg, Trustee Sullivan, second. All in
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I guess I'm replaced the trees.
I was also concerned about these.
You're not staying, Lori? You're not staying?
Oh, that's more law. Okay. Yeah. On we go with the planning board meeting. Item number 2 on our agenda, 45 Northfield Avenue, public hearing for proposed construction of new rear terrace.
Hey, Alan.
Yeah.
I sent you an email with a video of what the static sounds like on my end, if you want to show it to somebody there sometime.
It's still staticky.
Yes, it is.
You know, the last time we had a big problem with that, the IT room in the back was 100 degrees.
Oh, But
Yeah, if you would. that
there's a
would-
little video of how staticky it is, if you want to just see what it sounds like on my end.
Creative, Steve.
Is there anyone here in the room or online to present for 45 Northfield Avenue?
Patty.
Patty Steinschneider. Oh, geez.
That's not nice.
Hey, Donna. Welcome.
Welcome.
Oh, I know, right? But when I need to be here. Oh, yes, I'll start showing up again. Yeah, that won't-
Check sound didn't come through. Oh, and I have the sound off. That'll explain it.
He's up.
Screen.
That's horrible.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what we sound like.
Still trying to-
Yeah.
I can see.
It's worth 1,000 words.
Store.
I opened the door.
No, that was
Yeah,
Stevens.
you can get off the Sawmill onto Ashford. If you take a right turn,
We're gonna leave the door.
that first right turn.
They were
after you've made the nine. That's
They
right.
were-
I think so.
They were-
When you come over.
I don't think this building meets code.
You still good.
It's all stretched.
Yeah, your equipment
They
isn't
were-
great.
they went really peaceful.
There's North.
You get a new.
I feel very good.
I'm sorry. That's what I was gonna say. It looks like a parallel, right?
Okay, yeah.
So it's not that.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure that's.
Really noisy. He played a video of it. Oh, really? Yeah. He got Steve sent a video.
So that should work.
Up and running.
So, 45 Northfield Avenue, we were before you at the last meeting. You had a pre-submission conference. You called for a public hearing for tonight. And have you opened the public hearing?
Not yet. We were waiting for you to.
For me to say some stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is the Village of Dobbs Ferry desperately needs a new laptop and to get this working because it's very challenging. This project is a fairly simple one. It consists of,
Patty, can you hold off until we open the public hearing?
oh, I thought you, okay, go ahead.
I move, we open the public hearing.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
please continue.
Okay, thank you much. So I think you remember where this property is. It's right on the corner of Moulton and Northfield Avenue. It's a good sized property. I'm gonna get the stuff that actually matters. What we're proposing to do is to create a terrace in the back of the existing single family home. The last time we were before you, you were kind enough to recommend that we go to the Architectural Review Board, which we did. And I thought they were gonna say, what are you guys here for? You're just doing a terrace. But they took it very seriously and they asked us to do quite a bit of additional work. Because that meeting was just over a week ago, we've submitted documents to you, but obviously it wasn't in time for it to be formal. So you guys can handle that, obviously, whatever way you want, but I figured to present to you the ones that will be showing to the Architectural Review Board next Monday, instead of showing you an interim and then having to come back and show you something different. So what we're basically looking at is a rectangular terrace. This area right here, with a fireplace on this side and two islands on the other side that'll have an outdoor kitchen. Some of the things that the Architectural Review Board was concerned about was the fact that you can see, you stand on the street opposite the driveway, you can look into this yard. And you could see the fact that they have an outdoor kitchen
And they were very concerned with us doing something that would help screen that. Right now, there's an extensive row of arborvitae along the street. Not a big fan of arborvitae, but they're very healthy trees and they're doing a good job of screening that. What we've done is we've picked up that screening coming around to screen off from the street, as you see from the driveway, with an arrangement of different plants. And I've got those plants in here if you guys have any curiosity over what we are considering using. The other thing that Kate, well, actually, here are the trees that we're proposing to use. So the trees that'll be closest, or the shrubs that'll be closest to the street will be the Wichita junipers, which get like 7-8 feet, and they get very bushy. Going alongside of that will be these blue holly, which also get about that same height and working well. There are 3 dogwoods that'll punctuate it. That's the only deciduous. Everything else is broadleaf. And then in front of that on the terrace side will be some soft touch holly and compact inkberry. So it's an assortment of materials that will kind of work well with one another and that are all indigenous, or at least on the lists of indigenous. I often don't trust those lists, but we work with them. Another thing that came up at the last meeting, the village consulting engineer noted that we had referred to stormwater analysis that had been done. That was actually done because we were originally proposing to build a roof, and we were going to pick up the water from the roof. We're not building the roof at this time. So what we are proposing to do is use pervious pavers. The pervious paver company claims that their system will accommodate all the water that falls on it. I'm not so sure that's real. So what we've done is we've pitched that slightly to the grass area between the house and the driveway. And we're proposing effectively a rain garden with a 30-foot long, 24-inch pipe that'll be buried in gravel. That'll give us a capacity, I had the number somewhere, but it's basically around 280 cubic feet of storage. The percolation that Hudson Engineering found on the site rivals beachfront. I've never seen quite perks this good. So I've discounted those perks. I've basically said they're only going to be as good as maybe half as what they say. In fact, I've only said that they'll empty once in the, in 24 hours, it'll empty at the 12-hour and then the 24-hour. So we actually have a capacity to hold all of the water falling on the terrace without it being permeable, but we know we won't have a problem with it, and they won't have water ponding in their yard, and nobody will have water running off. So I think we've addressed that fairly well. I guess one of the kind of fun things is the way we're lighting this. What we're proposing to do is we have these short piers, 3 of them across one end, 2 on the other side. And those piers on the interior terrace side have what would normally be a step light, the kind of light that you'd put in a step as you're going upstairs. So it only shines down at an angle. You can't see the source of the bulb. And what it'll do is it'll put light out on the terrace around it. So you'll be able to articulate the edge of the terrace simply with those lights, as well as similar lights built into the chimney mast. On the islands, we have 2 post lights, one on either end of the island. And I have actually the style of those because we know the concerns with both night sky pollution and light trespass under neighbors. So what we're doing is a fairly well covered light. It's got a glass bulb cover that is sandblasted on the interior, so it's diffused. And these are LEDs at about a 68 lumen, which is not bright, but enough for what you'd be wanting to do outside. And I won't talk about the fact that we've got a television on the stove, on the fireplace, which of course has a whole nother issue of light and disturbance to neighbors. But I don't think we have yet anything in our code that says you can't have an outdoor television. So I won't address it. I think that's, this is showing how that these are going to be stone. Not my first choice, but this is what the client really wants. I would have liked shiny black stainless steel, looking very sleek and cool, but he prefers using the stone for both the fireplace and for the 2 islands with the equipment built into it. And actually, this is just that storm drainage stuff, which you don't really need. We're proposing, these colors actually look a lot different than when you see them in real life. Onyx toffee for the terrace itself. The islands in the fireplace will be built out of onyx natural. They both kind of do an invert of one another. The onyx toffee has the onyx natural as a background tone. The onyx natural has the onyx toffee as a background tone. So they're compatible, but it's not like a homogeneous surface of walking and island and fireplace. You'll see an articulation and difference. And now I think that's all. So if you've got anything else or questions or worries, fears?
How do we, I see the fireplace is a new addition from the last set, I believe.
Well, we had a fireplace before, which was mounted on the house. So it was very kind of subtle and understated. The Architectural Review Board absolutely disliked that concept. They thought it would look strange. It would be confusing for people when they're driving by. They'd be seeing a fireplace on the outside of a house. They didn't think that made sense. And our client actually always preferred to have a freestanding fireplace. We had kind of tried to understate it, and everybody said they didn't like that.
Has anybody looked at the impact of the smoke from that fireplace on the neighbors or?
We're actually the furthest point to any neighbors on the property, for that property. We're close to the street. We're not close to the neighbor on the other side. We've got half the yard still before the next neighbor that way. The house, of course, is between that fireplace and any neighbor across the street. So it's, it's not any more than you'd have in a fireplace in your house.
Well, the chimney's a lot lower. That's sort of my concern.
Yeah, but it's actually up, it's about 10 feet to the top of it. So and it's 10 feet away from any structure, that's near it. So I don't think it will have any unique. I think there's probably going to be more of a problem with what they're cooking.
I mean, people have fire pits too, all that.
Yeah.
Valerie, are there any code issues associated with outdoor fireplaces?
Well, besides the building code, well, it's Dan, but in the zoning code, no, there's nothing.
All right, thank you.
Where that fireplace is to it abuts a street, there's a street there and then the next house. So on that side, there is a lot of room now.
So it's pretty far away from anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know which way the wind's blowing, but.
Just if I were a neighbor and it was 5 feet away from my property line.
No,
I open the window.
Yeah.
I would be concerned.
No, there's no house right there.
Well, my neighbor owns a cheese shop down at Hudson, whatever, the 145 Palisades facility there. And she smokes cheese in their smoker. It took us a long time to figure out what was going on. It was rather interesting. But she's made a gift, so we don't complain.
Good.
I think it all looks good. You mentioned the TV, and I don't think the light would be a problem, but possibly the audio would be a problem at night when people are, because audio, it sort of carries everywhere all the time.
Yep. I think if I'm not mistaken, and Dan can correct me easily, is that we would have to abide by all of the sound requirements. And if they were doing something that was loud and disturbing to neighbors, they would be told to turn it off or at least turn it down.
Has to be less than 65 decibels
Right.
at the property line.
Put in a measuring device on the property line.
You can get those decibel meters on your phone.
Yeah, they're great. We use them all the time on the iPhone.
I was at a rock concert a month ago, and it was 120 decibels. I'm
Is
sorry.
that why you're at home, Steve?
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. So I'm not sure where we are on this.
Well, we're. It's up to the board to decide. Are there any comments?
Well, have you had a chance to review the revised plans?
I looked at them briefly. As I said, it was a late submission. It did look like a lot of the stormwater concerns we had were addressed, and actually they are reducing impervious surface. So being that it's a pervious paver and they're providing a rain garden, it seems like they're going over and above. So We would just need to have a final look before, give it a real look before building permit issuance.
And it's code compliant?
Yes, and we could do, we could look at that stuff before we issue the permit.
So we could do a conditional approval if.
Yes.
Does anybody, Valerie, did you have something you wanted to add?
No, I mean, the conditional approval is possible. I think there's just two things dealing with process wise. You don't have ARB approval yet, correct?
Not yet. Right.
So if this board gives a conditional approval and there's changes made,
We'd have to come back.
right, and then I think we have to start an amended site plan approval, correct, Dan? If that's the case?
So does it make more sense to wait one more month?
Well, we don't have a resolution. do we?
You do have a resolution.
You do have a resolution.
But it's based on the dates, there are the last dates submitted prior to.
I got you.
this-
Okay, sorry.
The biggest comments the HRB had is they wanted to just see the details of the islands, because there was no detail there, and also the location of this chimney. That was their biggest concerns.
We've done what they effectively told us to do, so, my client was eager to not have anything hold them up, so he said, do whatever they want us to do.
You could certainly act on it if it's going to be conditional based upon, as Dan said, compliance with the stuff that Anthony referenced. If anything changes at the HRB, that can be a condition as well if they come back for an amendment.
And there's no roof, it's an outdoor deck patio.
It's not that, yeah.
It doesn't seem like a very complicated application.
No, not at all.
I think.
In terms of the public hearing, the fact that these plans are just shown now, is that an issue that the public hasn't had a chance to see it, or?
I don't think so, because we did submit drawings originally for this, and everybody was noticed.
Okay, so it's not that different than the last one that we saw.
It's what's different about it is we've detailed the finish on the islands.
Okay.
And we've moved the fireplace away from the house, so it's freestanding.
It wouldn't,
Yeah, so I don't have a problem.
It wouldn't require being renoticed or anything like that.
No.
And we added a tremendous amount of landscaping.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
Good.
Is anybody, since it's a public hearing, is anybody raising their hand? Okay.
Nobody cares.
Okay. So we're ready to.
Well, then I would move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
And if I had a resolution, I would read it.
You do have a resolution, but I don't know if you, I mean, I can read it. if you'd
Well,
like.
that'd be good.
That'd be much better.
Email the resolution, draft resolution on Friday.
Right.
And I will stop at one section where we're going to talk about adding some additional conditions based upon what the
Okay.
board just
Thank you.
discussed. All right, so the resolution begins with identifying the owner as well as seeking site plan approval for the construction of a 584 square foot brick terrace in the rear yard for an existing single family dwelling. The property is located at 45 Northfield Avenue. This project, the resolution then goes on to note that the project is a type 2 action according to seeker. That the board conducted a duly noticed public hearing on July 7th, and it was concluded on July 7th. That the board carefully examined the materials that were submitted throughout the process. So therefore, if be it resolved, the planning board of the Village of Dobbsbury determines that based upon the findings and reasoning set forth below, that the application for site plan approval is granted with the following conditions. The conditions are the approved plans. Right now, the resolution refers to the June 15th, 2022 plans. We are also suggesting as part of the condition of approval that the plans get updated per the ARB final approval. Okay. And the other conditions are before the planning board chair may sign the site plan, that the planning board's approval is contingent upon applicant receiving all approvals required from other governmental agencies as well as the village engineer. Did you want to refer to a particular memo date?
Yeah, I actually don't have the date here. It was the memo from the last meeting, so. Sorry.
So I'll refer to the prior memo, so therefore that all the engineering will be updated for that. And then the last was that the planning applicant shall pay all outstanding consultant review and legal fees.
Good.
So wait, a minute, what, maybe I missed it, but how much of a change would the AHRB have to require before it would have to come before us again?
Well, right now I have it, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The massing, and any of the massing, or if the patio changed in size.
So as long as the dimensions stay the same, the main items stay in the same location, as long as it just fit,
Just
finishes.
finishes.
Well, the other option is if you want, you could base it upon just whatever the final approval for the AHRB. I mean, if you feel that whether they move the fireplace one location or another, it's not really going to be detrimental to massing or site plan, then we could just have it conditioned upon whatever the AHRB makes in their final decision.
Well, but they've actually changed things quite a bit on certain projects. That's why I'm asking.
Long history.
Okay.
So I'm back to that same question. What would trigger a re-review?
You could have building department's discretion.
Sure.
If you're so inclined.
Ask that again, what were you asking?
Well, I'm just asking what would trigger it coming back before us. So let's say the HRB says, well, we hate the whole plan. We want it to be
If they
done.
say they want to make the fireplace bigger, the ARB wants it a lot bigger.
Right.
Then that's going to trigger it to come back.
Okay.
But if they move the same size one around, no, it wouldn't come back to you guys, like Valerie was saying.
If they added the roof, we'd probably have to come back.
Definitely.
So it would be your decision that there was a substantial enough change that it should come back before.
Correct.
us. Okay, I'm good with that.
The resolution is actually referring to the last official submission, not this late submission.
Right.
So it's actually already vastly different in
So
terms
I
of the
think-
location of the fireplace and so forth.
Right, so do you want me to refer to the newest submission? But unfortunately, the newest submission is also dated the same dates as the last submission, so I don't know what to say. Because it still says April 14th on all the plans,
On the initial submission, it shows a revision date.
and now it doesn't.
Okay, I'll check that. I'll make sure that if we don't have the revision dates on, that's very important for the Architectural Review Board,
Right.
because they asked us to change it. We do have a cover sheet, which,
Yes, you do have a cover sheet.
and I think that says what this set is.
It should still be on all the,
Yeah,
I would be more comfortable referring to what we just saw.
it says
Yeah.
414.
and I can give a copy of that this very minute, although you already have all the plans.
I think we got sent it.
Yeah,
Yes,
so you actually, everybody actually has everything.
right, I know, I'm just trying to refer so that everyone is.
How are you referring to it in the resolution?
Yeah,
Because if you don't refer to that one, it's automatically has to come back
Right.
because it's different.
So I'm looking at the plans right now and I don't see, it just says issues revisions 4/14/2022. Let's see, yeah.
yeah.
Can you refer to it as a,
Kind of preferred, this is nice.
or whenever?
Yeah. Maybe we'll have a plan submitted July 5th, maybe we can ask Sarah to print like, print them off and stamp them. July 5th. How about
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Dan, would that work for you? If I have Sarah print them off and stamp them July 5th?
Yeah, 'cause there's
The screenshot is July 7th.
they're both the same cover sheet, right?
Yeah.
What if Mr. Steinschneider
Oh, I look at the,
indicates the date
yeah,
and signs it?
that sounds good.
Here we go. That'll be 5 minutes, shows what plan is.
The
public hearing.
These revised as of today's date, and I'll sign it right underneath it.
Perfect.
That'll make,
Cool.
now we refer to a plan.
Therefore, I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hey,
All right.
And you can vote on the resolution. I just read it. So the three conditions are that the site plans will be, it will refer to the site plans as revised as July 7th, 2022. And that all the outstanding engineering conditions, and it will refer to Anthony's memo from last month. And if there are substantive changes at the AHRB based upon building inspector's review, it will have to come back to.
Okay.
All right. I move that we approve this based on what we just said.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is item number 4. No, item number 3. Item number 3, 55 Livingston Avenue, public hearing for proposed installation of overflow drain to existing stormwater catch basin.
I believe of Ron Russo.
Yeah, that's Ron Russo.
Yeah, he should, I think he's.
This one, we didn't get anything, any new.
Yeah, hi, everyone. This is Ron DeRusso, 55 Livingston Avenue. I believe at the last meeting, we were asked to amend a letter of consent from the Livingston Ridge Board to remove a sentence that included approval by Dobbs Ferry and Dobbs Ferry engineers. And we have gotten that approval and have removed that sentence. So as far as we know, we've gotten everything that the planning board has asked, and we're hoping that we can get approval now at this meeting.
So it's a
Move
public.
forward with the drainage overflow pipe.
I move we open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Anthony, I know this was something you've
Yes.
been involved with or thinking about. Where are we from your point of view?
I think the revised consent letter addresses at least what my concern was. That it kind of laid it at the feet of us reviewing it, and yet no engineering backup was submitted for us to review. So it seems to me, from an engineering point of view, it's between the two property owners now.
Right.
And it should remain that way.
Okay, that's fine with me.
Dan, that works for you.
That work? Legally, does that work?
And they took that note off, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Steve, anything?
No, I like it.
All right.
Well, good.
We open the public hearing?
We did.
I've closed. the public
Well,
hearing.
you could ask if anybody has their hand.
Anybody have their hand? I'm sorry. No.
Anybody here like to speak to that?
Ron Russo anywhere in the room? No.
I'm here.
There you are. There you are.
Yes. Yes, we, as I said, we've gotten this, we were able to get Livingston Ridge to remove that sentence. And that was an issue, and we believe we can move forward upon your approval.
Okay, thank you.
We close the public hearing.
Move we close public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
We have a resolution.
I don't think, do we have a resolution?
Yes, you do.
Good. Can you read the last couple lines?
Sure.
We did.
Again, whereas Dan DeRusso is seeking site plan approval to install an overflow drain on the property. The property is located at 55 Livingston Avenue. This project was type 2 under seeker. The planning board conducted a duly noticed public hearing on July 7th, 2022. And when it was concluded on July 7th, 2022, the planning board carefully examined all the materials as part of the submission process. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the planning board of the Village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings and reasoning set forth below, the application for site plan approval is granted. The approved plans refer to the April 21st, 2022 plans. And the following conditions must be met before the planning board signs the site plan. And it involves applicant must address to the full satisfaction of the village engineer all outstanding stormwater and stormwater maintenance agreements raised in the hearings and documents submitted, including the May 28th, 2022 letter from the village engineer. And that all the applicant shall pay all outstanding consultant review and legal fees in connection with the planning board application.
She's good at that, right?
Yeah, she's good. I mean, she may get the job, I think.
Okay, so we make the motion, is that right?
That's right. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda, item number 4 is 49 Cricket Lane, public hearing for proposed additions and interior and exterior renovation to existing home.
My name is Alan Ross. I'm the architect representing Nick and Kristen Willoughby. Nick's here, attending the hearing. I brought a thumb drive. I haven't done this before, so brought some drawings too in case there was a technical glitch, but
it's a nice house and a great location.
I can do it if I use the mouse. Great, thanks. Let me open the drawing here. So let me go to the map. I'll share everything now from now on.
Go share. Wherever you're on.
Okay, great, thanks. The project is constructing a 308 square foot, 2-story addition, 154 square foot footprint, kitchen, bathroom renovations, exterior door and window replacement, larger front stoop with shed roof, insulation added to existing walls and roof, and roofing and siding replacement with a new HVAC system. We did get some comments. I'd like to address the ones from Mr. Oliveri first. The two comments were there was a net that the net increase and decrease of impervious area should be clearly stated on the plan. I have 3 copies of the revised plan here, hard copies, and here the plan has been revised so that you have the existing impervious area here and the proposed impervious area here with totals listed here and here with a net difference of 363 square feet. So I think that addresses that concern or that missing element in the drawing. The other comment was that the SWPPP test pit description in the pre-design investigation analysis conflicts with the plan and test pit data for distance to groundwater and ledge rock. I contacted the engineer, engineering firm Hudson Design, and they realized there was a typo of sorts on lines 4 and 5 of page 3. I could pull that up and show you, but in essence, what it reads is it previously read, no groundwater was observed. Ledge rock was encountered at a depth of 84 inches. The correction is groundwater was observed at the invert. No ledge rock was encountered. So that's been corrected. And I have, as I said, 3 hard copies of that revised narrative with me. The other comments, which I have on my phone here, from the building department, Mr. Romer, were that the An updated site plan with revisions to the zoning table has not been provided. That actually was provided on the first planning board, not building permit, but planning board submission. And then there was a height table that was subsequently provided for the AHRB application. And I have those drawings here. So I didn't bring new drawings because they were on the previous drawing. But let me go through the comments first and I can show you where those are if you'd like to see. The lighting, does the applicant propose any exterior lighting in the addition? All lighting should comply with the residential standards of the 300-41 of the zoning chapter. That was also, a note was also added in the HARB application on the EC-001 sheet, which they've had for a while, and they were fine with the application. Limits of disturbance, the applicant should confirm that no tree removal will occur as a result of the proposed addition. That is the case. Any tree removal would happen through a permitted process. The landscaping, that wasn't a comment really. And then the AHRB also required that we submit a full sky exposure plane diagram, which I can show you if you'd like to see that also.
Thank you. I think this is a public hearing. We open. I move we open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good, thank you. Any comments from our advisors? Members of the board? It seems pretty straightforward. I've driven down there a couple of times. It's an interesting house, not unique house, but in a very interesting location.
Yeah.
And it's a great opportunity for somebody to really have quite an experience.
Yeah, that's certainly our feeling.
So I just have a question. I'm looking at the topo map here. I mean, it shows the house below the level of the pond.
I know.
Yeah.
There is, well, interestingly enough, the pond is at sort of the top of a midway up a hill.
Okay.
So quite like, I don't know, 50 yards to the north, you're down, 30 feet or so.
I
The
see.
house is
Yeah,
definitely
so
lower
it's-
than the
It's
pond.
not.
Oh, it is. Okay. So where does the pond drain?
It drains actually sort of at the ponds here, it kind of drains out the back. And actually not on the Willoughby's property, down toward the golf course.
Okay.
Just say by the During Estate and the
Yeah.
golf course right there.
Yeah, the state is up here, and that golf course, and
Yeah.
I actually have a aerial view and stuff like that I could show if you'd like to see it.
I'm looking at Google Maps, but it's
Yeah.
a little tree covered, so it's a little
Right,
hard to
yeah.
tell.
It's something that I actually periodically go down to and just like make sure that it's relevant. Right? Land built 1945, it's there, the previous owners told me about it. Cynthia that told me about it and said, hey, it's something you're just gonna have to go down and periodically get rid of some of these.
Good. It's a public hearing. Is there any, did we open the public hearing?
Yes.
Probably not.
Yes.
We did.
We did. Anybody wish to speak on this, public? Do you see anybody online? No, wouldn't think so. There aren't enough neighbors around to one.
Pretty much one in the golf course.
So,
Would it be helpful for me to deliver these hard copies now or another time? Or the 3 revised engineering drawings?
I don't know if you should submit them now or just with building, building permit. It sounds like you addressed a couple of comments I had, but when it comes in for building permit, we can do a
Okay.
quick look.
Yeah, you could submit them tomorrow to the
Okay.
building department.
can we move without a resolution?
I think we have.
We have a resolution. Oh, everything.
Gallery just read it. Guess what?
I'll read the first line and the last line.
Okay, so,
We gotta just close the public
yeah.
hearing. So we-
Have to close the public hearing.
Oh, all right. I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, whereas Nicholas and Kristen Willoughby are seeking site plan approval for the construction of a 308 square foot, 2-story addition to an existing one-family residential dwelling. The property is located at 49 Cricket Lane. Whereas the project is a type 2 under a seeker. Whereas the planning board conducted a duly noticed public hearing on July 7th, 2022, and was concluded on July 7th, 2022. Whereas the planning board carefully examined and considered the materials submitted by the applicant in support of the project. Now therefore be it resolved, the planning board of the village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings and reasoning set forth below, the application for site plan approval is granted subject to the following conditions: that the approved plans meet the last revised plans of May 9th, 2022, and the stormwater management plan dated June 1st, 2022, and that the following conditions must be met before the planning board chair may sign the site plan. And the conditions that I'm highlighting this evening are the planning board's approval is conditioned upon the applicant receiving all approvals required, including and dealing with any outstanding to the full satisfaction of the village engineer, all outstanding stormwater and stormwater maintenance agreements and engineering issues. And that the applicant shall pay all outstanding consultant reviews and legal fees in connection with the planning board application.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Aye.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Nice project.
Next item on our agenda is item number 5, 11 Bramley Lane, public hearing for proposed exterior renovations to existing home, including patio, erosion control, and drainage.
Have a good night.
Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of 11 Bramley Lane or online?
Mike Ford.
Hello, this is Louise Grigg. I'm the engineer representing Michael Ford and Lauren Hershog for their site work application at 11 Bromley Lane. Good evening, everyone. Let me see if I can get a video here.
Hey there, we're here. Homeowners.
Choose the video. Okay, all right. Well, why am I not getting video? All right, can everyone hear me first off?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so we're gonna go with, can you enable me to share my screen? Am I enabled?
Try it.
Awesome. Okay, let's do this.
Shown.
Okay, can everyone see the screen? Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so the only problem here is that my video, my apologies. Let's just move on. Good evening, everyone. My name is Louise Grigg. As I said, my firm name is Grigg and Davis Engineers. I'm assisting the homeowners with restoration of an existing patio. It's this little 500 square foot area right here, and this little pea gravel section. The application before you is just to remove this little section of stone patio, which is existing, and replace it with all new material and bring in pea gravel here for a sitting area to overlook a wooded hill. Where the previous meeting, I had proposed bringing in putting in a front yard dry well to soak up any runoff that may accumulate from this area. I've since moved in this application. I've decided to move this to the rear, just thinking it may be easier for the contractor to wheelbarrow in and dig out this location right here. There isn't a lot of room for access, so I'm calling for hand digging. And in terms of street views, there's a fence here, a fence which obscures any viewing of this location here. I've addressed whatever comments that have been provided to us. I've addressed most of them with the exception of not having a topo as a background. And if there are any questions that I can answer, please advise.
Thank you. Is there any comments? I haven't seen any, I don't think I've seen anything written from.
Well, we did have a comment memo the last meeting.
At the last meeting,
And this,
okay.
this was, this came in late, I believe, also. I did give it, I gave it a quick look. It looked like they had addressed pretty much all of our comments,
Okay.
you know, with the exception of the topography background, which it's an existing patio, so we could probably waive that requirement. But again, we, you know, we should give it a final look before any building permit
Okay,
issuance.
all right. This is a public hearing. I move we open the public hearing. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
So just to confirm, there's a 6-foot fence between the patio and the neighbor?
Yeah, it's 6 foot.
So are you referring to right over here?
Yes.
The right side yard. There are enormously beautiful row of laurels that were planted and very heavy. And I think they got to be about 12 feet tall. Lauren, can you advise, would you say they're 12 feet?
Well, they definitely go above the fence quite a bit, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just, you know,
11, 12, yeah, they're very
Yeah.
tall.
yeah, you cannot see over them.
Okay,
Yeah,
my
it's
concern
almost
was just that the patio is screened from the adjacent property.
Correct, heavily.
That's right, yeah.
The public hearing, is there anyone that wishes to speak on this application? 11 Bramley Lane?
Nobody has their hand.
Nobody has their hand. No, no, okay. Any other comments from advisors, board members, audience, anybody?
It seems pretty minimal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems very.
Okay. I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If I were there, I'd kiss each and every one of you.
You wouldn't kiss me.
You don't, oh.
I'm
Steve,
fighting COVID.
We're kissing you
well,
anyway.
I kiss you anyway.
You have a resolution on your, oh, you do. That's sneaky. That's good.
She's good.
So whereas Michael Ford and Lauren Herzog are seeking site plan approval to install a new front yard dry well, or actually it's now a rear yard dry well, right?
Rear yard, yes.
To install a rear yard dry well and repairs to the rear yard patio. The property is located at 11 Bramley Lane, whereas the project is a type 2 action under seeker. Whereas the planning board conducted a duly noticed public hearing on July 7th, 2022, and it was concluded on July 7th, 2022. The planning board carefully examined and considered the materials submitted by the applicant in support of the project. Now for be it resolved that the planning board of the village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings and reasons set forth below, the application for site plan approval is granted subject to the following conditions. The approved plans are noted as July 30th, 2021 and April 7th, 2022. We should probably revise the plans to reflect what was the latest date on those plans?
I have it here.
Because these relate, hold on. I
Oh,
have
yeah,
it
no, I
here.
don't have
Let me see if I can find it.
6/20/22.
it. She's zooming in.
Oh,
Sabrina.
6/20/22.
7/6.
7/6/2020.
6.
So it'll be July 6th, 2022. And the engineering plan dated April 7th, 2022. And the following conditions must be met before the planning board may sign the site plan. That the applicant must address to the full satisfaction of the village engineer all outstanding stormwater and stormwater maintenance agreements. including comments that were received on May 28th, 2022 letter from the village engineer, and that the applicant shall pay all outstanding consultant and review legal fees in connection with the planning board application.
Good, thank you. I move we approve the application as heard.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I guess did we need to close the public hearing first?
You
Oh, you did.
You closed it.
Oh,
You did,
good. Okay, thank you. Item number 6, 24.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.
24 Eldridge Place pre-submission conference for proposed addition and site work to existing home.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Oh, Mike. Yep, Mike, we can hear you.
Hi, this is Pete Gulick from Mike Lewis Architects. Get my screen up here. Can we see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so we're presenting 24 Eldridge Place for Leon Ashkenazi and Richard Berry. It's a one-story addition to an existing one-story house. And we've also got some stormwater system from HEC that we're waiting on, and a proposed upper parking area too on the upper level. There's just the front of the house. And the addition is literally just a one-story addition that goes out to literally right at the edge of this existing retaining wall. So that's the extent of the addition there. You can see it a little better on the site plan here. The existing house and then the small addition on here on the left-hand side. It's about 470 square feet. Let me just get into some of the drawings on this side. On the site, there's an existing retaining wall that's pretty low, and we're pushing that retaining wall into the hill a little bit. So it gets a little higher. It's shown here on the outside, and it just contains the upper part of the hill where we're pushing out into the side yard there. In the basement, we're just doing a small crawl space, nothing down there, but just support for the upper floor. And on the first floor, got the existing floor plan on the bottom here, and just this outer portion here on the left. You know, it's a main bedroom, bathroom addition with a small side porch. And taking a look at some of the elevations. This is the front elevation. Again, existing on the bottom. And then you can see the outline of the addition here on the right. Sort of this lighter gray area next to their red brick. So that's the front elevation. You can see where this was the existing lower retaining wall on the left, and we're pushing that back into the hill. So it gets a little higher in the side yard. That's the front elevation. And then if we turn to the side, that's the side yard going up the hill. Again, existing and proposed. You know, we're just kind of pushing out about 3/4 of the house out into the hill there. And if we turn around and look at it from the rear, same thing, existing on the bottom, and then the addition here on the right. And then another sort of diagram, then an elevation looking back towards the wall, almost as if you were looking sort of a section through the new part of the house. And that's the bulk of the project. It's a small addition, and that's where we are at this point.
Good, thank you.
Do we have a tree removal plan?
Yeah, on the site plan, let me go to again, we've got existing site plan on the bottom and proposed on the top. So here we're pushing out here onto the left a little bit. So we're proposing to remove these 4 trees. The tree on the street's really clipped pretty badly from wires and everything. And then there's these other 3 that are, going to be pretty close to the edge of the wall and the root ball. So we'd like to remove those. We've got a planting and tree removal schedule over on this side for some of the removed items and some of the newer planting that's in the front of the house also.
So one of the neighbors has expressed concerns about removing those trees, and I think one of the things we need to be concerned about is screening between the two properties.
Sure, yeah, very much. And as you can see, this is the proposed site plan. So we're taking those trees down in the front. And those trees actually, they screen great on the upper floors, but down low, they don't screen much at all. They're, the canopies go up, but they're proposing an entire row along from the front to the back of the property of taller trees that will really screen it much better than it's screened now. So hopefully that won't be a concern, privacy issue or privacy concern. Actually, it'd be more private when they complete this than it is now.
Was there going to be a new village code that required replacement to some extent?
Yes.
It's been passed.
Yeah.
So has that been addressed as part of this?
This
plan?
has been sent to the tree commission.
Okay.
And they will have comments back before the public hearing.
Okay.
So the tree regulations
Yeah, that was-
require that the planning board also takes into consideration the tree removal as part of their site plan review.
Sure.
So the applicant will need to provide that they're meeting the new regulations, which requires a replacement of the trees as part of their site plan submission.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if they're going to the tree commission.
I sent it for them to review for the replacements.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think the planning board is supposed to review that. So why don't we chat about who's reviewing it? Because I think the way the new tree regulations work, it's only if it's not associated with a site plan, does the tree commission get.
For their comments.
Yeah. But I mean, if the board wants to have a referral to the tree commission and get their comments, I think that, that's fine. It's just that the final approval come from this board. in terms of-
Or we could use them as a recommendation
Yeah,
resource.
absolutely.
Yes, that's why I do send it to them when there's trees removed.
Like the AHRB.
Yeah, and this is a new process, a new procedure, because in the past, it was either went to the tree commission and yes, this board did raise questions or did ask about landscaping, but there was no requirement for the board to really even look at the tree replacement.
So they should comment, we should get comments from them on that before the next hearing?
I think you're also going to want to look at the tree regulations. I identified the section in the code that you're going to want to look at in my memorandum.
I looked at that quickly today, thanks. Okay.
The other thing that came up from multiple neighbors is the new parking on the street and the curb cut.
Okay.
The previous owners of that house did park. There's room in the other driveway for 4 cars stacked. So
on the lower level.
yeah, I mean, they used to really very often have 4 cars in there.
Yeah.
When they needed to.
I mean,
So having the extra parking spaces, is that really necessary?
Well, it's the site, the way that the site is now, let me just go to the front photo. One of the things we're doing in this plan is if you could see this, the other side of it, the wall is really tall. It almost splits the site in half. It's about 7.5 feet tall at the garage. So when you park there, you have to come all the way back out to the street to come up here and then into the house. So you're not only going up a full level, but you've got to come out to the street to then go back into the house. So the reason that clients were asking for this upper parking level is it's right at the main level of the house, and much easier to get in and out. So that's the reason we were looking at the parking on that level, much easier than that lower parking area, as well as just restoring this. We're taking the site down a little lower to restore the natural landscape. Rather, kind of goes over now and drops down 7 feet to the driveway. So that was the reasoning on the upper level parking there.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at the traffic because the neighbors are very concerned about that dog leg and additional people pulling out in there. So I'm not sure how to resolve that.
Well, I also have concerns about, aesthetic concerns about having the, 2/3 of the front of the property be parking and
Right.
driveway.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with that. I think it's a little unsightly to have all that parking. And it's not a very convenient street to navigate already.
Yeah, we had spoken, we had spoken with the previous building inspector about that. And, we had talked about it and he had said, look, if it fits within everything, it should be okay. But, I think there's ways we can try to hide it a little bit with some planting as well as the lower level. But it just really makes a big difference in the quality of getting in and out of the house to be able to go in on that lower level rather than, coming back to the street and going all the way up and through.
So there's no way to get from the garage up to the first level. So walking into the garage and then
You
walking.
could, I mean, you could do that where you go in through the, in through the garage, but they'd rather go through the front door and enter the house through, the main part of the house than kind of going in through that bottom level like that.
The basement, so the door goes into the basement level, which I remember is huge.
The garage door goes into the basement level. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest basements I remember ever seeing.
Really?
Oh, it's huge. It's a full height, right?
Yeah, luckily it's a full height basement, so that's nice. Yeah.
Is there any way to look at putting a stairwell, but right closer to the house that goes from the
I think
garage?
they have
Well, yeah, you see, we're also doing that too. We're trying to put this, we are proposing this stair that goes from the driveway up into the house. So that does help.
If I might, they are putting a stairway and they are widening the existing driveway. One thing we have to be careful about, we raised it in our memo, was sight distance. So they're also showing shrubs, going all the way out to the right, in the right of way. That could limit sight distance. So I think if you're going to consider this, you should
have it clear.
You have to demonstrate you do have sufficient sight distance here.
Okay.
And it, because the cars have to back out.
Yeah.
And, so we did raise that.
Yeah. And I mean, just looking at it, it's actually worse backing out of the driveway straight into the street. You're backing out kind of dead into the street as opposed to this upper level, which is almost actually better than down where the, in terms of traffic and flow, I think. And there's a lot
You
of
may actually have better sight distance at the bottom driveway because you could see down around that dog leg, I think, but.
Yeah, it's just that you're pulling out like directly into the Eldridge Street, like Eldridge Place, right through it. And the other thing is, in terms of the parking, there's similar parking in the multi-unit, one house above us, the entire both sides of the street have this type of parking that's right on the curb, not even set back from it.
Yes.
The
little street that goes to the west.
Down here, it's almost a driveway rather than the street, I think.
It goes to four houses and they're
right.
All the letters are from the people living on that street and they're concerned with, pulling out and having more traffic right at that corner. I know Eldridge Place hardly has any traffic.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet there.
But just that intersection of them coming out and going in. So maybe offsetting the other parking area to the north or something, or.
This is sort of this naturally flat spot that's right near the entry when you come in. It slopes slightly, but it really starts to slope up the hill the further up you go there. Yeah.
Ideally, what would be great would be to have like a turnaround on the existing driveway so that they come out forward. I don't know if it's feasible really to push it out further to the west. You probably need a wall, but
Yeah, it's, and as you can see, this driveway really starts to drop off the hill here. It's very, yeah, the site's drops pretty heavily from top to bottom. But right here, it really drops off on the edge of the driveway, on this side here.
Excuse me, maybe a single spot up the hill or something. I mean, it's sort of terrible to see cars in front of a house.
Yeah, I don't see this whole parking thing in front of the house very attractive at all. And it just seems to me that there's an excessive amount of parking now. If you add the two spaces and on top of having a driveway already existing, it doesn't seem to make sense to me. That's my opinion.
I mean, the house really is a little modernist gem. It's a beautiful house and
it's nice, very nice.
I'm glad that you're the architect because you're going to do a great job.
Thanks. We're trying on this one. It's hard to, it's hard to add on to, but it's nice. I mean, I almost think they'd prefer the upper parking, if it was an either or thing, if it came to that the upper is much better than the lower, if that were, if it had come to that, but.
I mean, this is Dobbs Ferry. I mean, this is the topography that we're given. So, I mean, unfortunately, that's how we have to learn to live sometimes. I mean, the architecture and the way that the addition balances the house, I think that's really wonderful. But to put 2 parking spots on that property, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Let's see, let me get to that.
Sorry.
Just looking at the elevations. I'm sorry, 1 second here. Yeah, that's the front, just looking at it.
Well, some things to think about. I think I'd like to move, we call for a public hearing at our next meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good.
One other comment. Is there any view to the west?
There is. You get
I heard from a former owner who was an architect. He said, "Oh, I hope they develop the view to the west because."
I mean, it's from.
Are there windows?
From the new master bedroom, and this is the reason this bedroom is on the front of the building and not the back, is because you do have a slight view down from this side of the living room and here down and out. When the trees aren't in full bloom and everything else, you can see it. So
up the river,
and you can see the river. Since we're at the bend, even from the back here.
Yeah,
on the
great view.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful site. It really is.
I think screening the trees along the side of the neighbor's driveway is a positive thing. And I like the way that that's laid out. And I think obviously we have to go to the tree commission or whatever input, but it seems like the amount of trees being removed versus what they're proposing is a good solution. And I like the addition on the house. I think proportionally it's great. I just, again, I'm not in favor of the driveway. And we do have.
It's not a public hearing.
Oh.
Can we hear from them?
If you'd like.
Sure. They've been sitting here. Why not?
Speak in the microphone though, please.
Just tell us who you are and where you live.
Hello, my name's Karen Mahara, and we are actually the residents at 30 Eldridge Place. That would be the house where those trees line that driveway.
Okay.
And that's uphill of this property. We also sent an email with our concerns about some of these changes, particularly about the trees. While they did point out from the outside, it looks like, oh, what's the point of these trees? They're so tall on the first floor, you don't get any screening. Our concern isn't so much about screening, it's more the shading of our house. Those trees do give a lot of cover to our house when the sun is on the west side. So if those were taken away, it does add a lot of sun. And additionally, from the second floor, which is actually where my bedroom is, it does give me a lot of coverage from, looking out the window. I can see the Hudson, but I don't have to feel like I'm staring at my neighbors. So that I just wanted to clarify that about the trees. And then as far as some of the parking additions that were mentioned, and the dog leg and the blind turn and stuff in the summer, like now, that little like hang part of the dog leg gets really tall shrubbery. So while some may think that the moving of the driveway where it currently is to primarily use the 2-car port that they're suggesting, if a car were to pull out of that spot while someone was driving up Eldridge, it's more likely that you don't see each other and you're pulling out, someone's pulling up, and it's a very narrow road. And I believe that some of the concerns were the limited parking in our neighborhood. The 4 houses on the dog leg have, very limited parking. You can't park there on that street. You have to use the driveway, otherwise people can't leave or come in. And along our house or the current lawn area of this house, you can park alongside the porch, but actually across the street, there is a no parking and no stopping sign. You can't use both sides. And as far as the estate level at the top of the hill that reaches Oliphant, you're not allowed to park there unless you're a resident. So there's super, super limited parking in that area. So when people have birthday parties or little events and stuff, we all try to make it work. But if we were to lose that curved of that law of their lawn for their parking space, that would affect a lot of the neighbors on our street, I think. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Good insight, thank you.
You might want to, come back to the public hearing when it's on and
Say it officially.
yeah, just so it's fully on the record.
Yeah.
It's a semi-public hearing, this one?
What's that?
It's a semi-public hearing?
It's not a public hearing. We allowed her to speak.
Oh, okay. No
We'll
problem.
have to come back to be on the record, I think.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
That's fine. Okay.
It's good insight, I think.
Right. So we'll have a public hearing at our next meeting. Yeah, which we approve.
Mr. Chairman, may I recommend that the applicant make sure they make their timely submissions, because it sounds like there might be some changes to the site plan, so that this board has a chance to do everything prior to the public hearing.
Sure.
For the record.
Okay.
Did we call for a public? hearing?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, that's what,
We did.
I think we did.
Okay, good. All right, so we're together.
I know, man, that all.
Yeah, I can see that.
So thank you.
It was on my paper.
If that's the case, I move we adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next month.